welcome to Almeria.
Thank you. What a pleasure to be here.
14 years since you published The Blue Economy. Did you expect to have that impact? Did you expect to be named the Steve Jobs of sustainability?
Well, no, you can never aspire to such a name by just simply writing a book. Actually, the book was a summary of 100 projects that really were my pet projects, my favorite initiatives. So it was a summary of what have I done and what do I think can be done. And all of a sudden, when I was looking at the projects, I realized there was a pattern. And the pattern needs a name. And so I called it the Blue Economy. Call it the Blue Economy because the ocean is blue, the sky is blue, and therefore it's the Blue Economy. But the real purpose was to inspire people that a new economic model was possible. And not only was it a good theory and a good concept, but we have done it. And because we have done it, I think people took it very serious.
And what is Blue Economy for Gunter Pauli?
Blue economy is use what you have. Use what is around you. Add value to it. Add value financial, emotional, cultural, social. Add value so that you can appreciate it. But certainly go to the very end of your creativity to identify everything you could do. I mean, you can have a cup of coffee, but the waste of the coffee you can do for growing a mushroom, and the waste of the coffee, which is the waste of the mushroom, is rich in amino acids, which is good for a chicken, and the chicken will give you an egg. All of a sudden, I have 4 things, not one thing. And that kind of an approach is literally against the traditional business model that tells you that you must focus on one thing only. And all of a sudden, no, I don't want to focus on one. Because I can have my coffee and my egg, and I have my breakfast with some mushrooms with it. And it all comes from my coffee. So it is not substituting the coffee with something else. It is going deeper into the opportunities that are offered by a cup of coffee.
How can emerging countries replicate and adapt a business model based on this blue economy?
You see, so many emerging countries look around and say, we're in poverty, we have nothing, we can't compete, we are lost in this game of globalization. And what I share with them is basically say, but look around. I'm in Namibia, for example, and there's a desert, and they say, but look at that, it's sea and desert. I said, yes, but this desert has a lot of minerals. Yeah, it's the oldest desert in the world, 17 million years, but it's full of minerals. And if you have a sandy ground and you have humidity from the sea, let's start farming asparagus. And all of a sudden, Namibia has become a producer of asparagus because they thought the desert was a problem, and they didn't realize they actually had all the conditions to grow asparagus. So what we need to do is look at reality again. Don't start saying that you're poor and you have no chances. Look around and identify with a very creative mind, an aspiring mind, because some things will work and some things will not work. But with a very creative mind, you're going to look at everything again and say, what more can I do than I thought was possible? And that's how we lift countries out of poverty. And that's how countries, emerging countries, can have a future.
Very interesting. And what do you think about the Sun&Blue initiative?
Look, tourism has been described over and over again as the most important industry in the world. But it's also a very damaging industry. It did many errors in the past. I mean, you have these concrete blocks that emerge that are massive consumers of water and energy, whereas the local population may not have it. And I think it's time that we do more than lip service and say we would like to have less CO2 emissions from tourism. No, we need to make tourism a leverage for lifting up populations with their culture, with their traditions, with their religions. And we have to learn how to not say that we bring wealth to them, but how we are able to learn from these communities, learn from these ecosystems, and do not go around these fragile ecosystems like an elephant in a porcelain store. Because when the poor elephant runs around and makes a little move, even when he's very careful, his tail can just knock out a lot of the beautiful ceramics. And unfortunately, we have had tails moving around, knocking down, even when our intentions were the best. So tourism, thanks to the Sun and Blue initiative, let's celebrate the sun, but at the same time, let's redesign fundamentally so much so we can have a tourism in the water whereby we can talk to each other in the water, where we can make videos and stream it on our boats, where we can promise ourselves that we will not bring sunscreen with us that will release the chemicals that will kill the corals. Can we behave as responsibles? And then when we know how to behave as responsibles, can we have the signs and the vision in order to really make tourism an experience from which we learn?
Okay. Mr. Pauli, thank you very much for your knowledge, for being here, and enjoy the rest of the Congress.
I will.
You. Thank you.
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.